Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia. It has been a minute since I've been able to sit down and make a video for you guys. I apologize for that. The summer got a little bit crazy. I'm sitting outside right now to avoid my family, but I can't avoid my animals. They're gonna come and find me. So hopefully they're not too distracting. Yeah, the summer was a little bit stressful for myself and my family. There was a lot of things that kind of came out of left field that were not good, and I mean, yeah, like sometimes life is like that and things get a little bit more challenging. So I thought a really good topic for today's video would be motivation and staying motivated through the seasons of life. So you know when you start your diet and it's so exciting in the beginning and you're like, what's possible? What's gonna happen? And you have this motivation, and the motivation turns into momentum. And momentum is like this magical thing that just propels you and moves you forward and makes everything easy. And it's so fun to be in momentum, isn't it? Eventually, that momentum, that upward force will eventually start to taper off and turn into a little bit of a plateau. And it becomes less exciting and it might feel a little bit mundane for a while. But we know this is going to happen, right? Like usually we're aware of this. We know it's going to happen and we can plan for it. So when the motivation starts to wane, we can tap into things like self-discipline. And one way to do that, I think, is to build the habits that become your baseline, like your wash, rinse, and repeat structure, your everyday. So like you wake up in the morning, you know you have to take whatever supplements you're having or have a glass of water, do your workout, your walk, whatever it is that is your morning routine. And you're going to eat the same kinds of foods every single day, your animal-based, your carnivore, whatever that is. And that's your baseline. That's your like normal habits that you don't really have to think too much about anymore because you built them up while you were feeling motivated. And another way to help stay the course is to have a plan for when you fall off of the plan. You know it's going to happen. I mean, we all like to think it's not going to happen, and maybe for some people it doesn't happen, and like if you're that person, you're amazing. Good job. But I fall off plan all the time. And I'm the kind of person that can go off plan and can go right back on the plan. Not everyone is like that. A lot of people are going to fall into kind of binge patterns and other kind of negative patterns. And you just have to know yourself. You have to know your psychology around food. So say it's like 35 degrees and it's really hot and I really want to have some ice cream. Can I have the ice cream and enjoy it and go to bed and wake up the next day and be back on track? That's an important thing to know. I can do that. So that can always be my plan. And if it's more than ice cream, it's like maybe I had like something, you know, French fries at dinner or something else, you know, I might fast a little bit the next day just to kind of help my system deal with it a little bit better, but I will be back on track the next day regardless. So I think like whatever your back on track is, whatever your plan for when you deviate is, like just have one, have it in your back pocket ready to go. I think it's important to know your psychology around food. Like know that you are going to negotiate with yourself at some point. You might look at that ice cream and be like, no, I'm not having it. And then maybe this little voice in the back of your head will be like, oh, but it's just once. It's just a little bit. It's got mostly clean ingredients. It's almost carnivore. You know, it could be anything, right? But just know that you are going to negotiate with yourself and have a plan for that negotiation. Know your triggers. Know that maybe if you had a really stressful day that you might be more inclined to have the ice cream. And I'm not saying never eat ice cream again. I'm definitely not saying that because I totally eat ice cream occasionally. I just know my plan, I know the triggers, and I know that I'm going to be back on track the very next day. But when you fall off plan and you call it a fail, it might be a fail. I don't really like using that exact language around food, but let the fails be the lessons. The fails don't have to be fails at all as long as you learn something about it. Like, why did you go off track? What happened? What was going on in your life? What were you feeling? What were you trying to what hole were you trying to fill? You know, like how were you hungry? What were you really hungry for? And like probably the food didn't help it. I know that I have a few things around like red wine. If I feel really anxious, my body might tell me that I'm craving a glass of wine because in the moment it really will calm me down. But you know, when I start to fall asleep at night, my heart's gonna race. It's not really calming me down, it's actually hurting my body. So I'm aware of that. I know that maybe if I start to feel a little bit anxious and I start to crave a glass of red wine, that I could instead do a meditation practice. I could go for a walk. I could talk to a friend. I could just go outside and connect with nature and feel quite a bit better about myself. Because food can be a lot of things to a lot of people. Like, food can be entertainment, and maybe you were bored, but you had popcorn. Like, maybe you wanted the popcorn because you were feeling bored. Maybe you could have done something else with yourself. Maybe it was just a coping mechanism for your boredom. And food can be a coping mechanism for a lot of different feelings and sensations in the body. Just sort of, sometimes we don't feel comfortable sitting with our emotions, and we just want to escape it. And sometimes food can be the escape for those things. So over time, just start to notice, like, when you deviate, like, ask yourself the question, like, what was I really hungry for? And most of the time, there's going to be this root cause that isn't, the food. It's not the carbohydrate. You weren't really hungry for carbohydrates, but maybe you were bored. Maybe you were sad. Maybe you were anxious. Maybe you were just like craving some kind of nourishment in a different way, but it came, your body just told you to have that specific food. It could be tied to a childhood memory. It could be a lot of things. And really, so I'm a big proponent of journaling. I like to journal a lot. I have many journals for many things. And journaling around these feelings can be insightful. Another reason I really like to journal around food is because when you're having these moments of temptation, or these moments where you want to deviate or negotiate yourself off the plan, kind of like validate it to make it sound not so bad, I have a why journal. And I wrote this one a long time ago. It was for a Whole30 that I was doing when I was really paleo. I stayed paleo for 14 years, but I would still deviate from that diet. And I would always bring myself back, usually through a Whole30, because it was just like a very strict regimen. And in the rigidity, I would find so much freedom because all of the choices were removed. You just had to follow it. And following it isn't always that easy. Actually, I find it a lot harder to follow a Whole30 than I do just to follow like a carnivore diet, because I think there's too many rules on a Whole30. There's too many options. Carnivore is so much easier in that way. But so I used to write down like my whys, and I'll just give you some examples here. Number 1, I want to see positive change on my body. Number 2, I want to heal my hormones and aches and pains. Number 3, I want to feel amazing every day. Number 4, I want to rock my new dresses and other clothes. Number 5, the food is delicious. Number 6, I want to nourish myself. And it goes on and on. I wrote 23 reasons down. I find this is really helpful to come back to when you're just not feeling super motivated anymore, and you need a little bit of self-motivation, a little bit of coaching. Sorry, there's a cat, so she's kind of distracting me. Right. So don't let your fails be fails. Let them be lessons. Like, when something goes wrong, just learn why it went wrong. And I find that when I deviate and I feel like crap the next day, that's like the best reminder of why I do what I do, why I try to eat better and feel better every single day. Sometimes it just is like that. It's almost like you're giving yourself a stomach flu. How gross is that? It's true, though. I just came back from 5 days of being on a vacation, and we were kind of like far from town, and I could have planned a lot better. I could have been eating better. This is like the worst I've eaten all summer. It really caught up with me, though. There was one day where I went like mountain biking all morning and I was starving. So I just ate a sandwich. Probably would have been fine if I just ate a sandwich. But later that evening, we were on the beach like playing volleyball and stuff, and we just ordered pizza. I just ate the pizza. The next day, I was like proper ill. Like, it was not good. I was not proud of myself, and it was just like this really good reminder, like, yes, it's worth it. Go to town, get a steak, make the extra effort to eat something different than everybody else, because you're going to feel like crap if you don't. So that's what I did. I got a steak and I cooked it up that night, and I felt 100% better. I ate other things too on my vacation, and I don't know, it was sort of like F around and find out. It wasn't good. I'm not proud of it. When I went away, I was like tired in every possible way. Like I was not in the best frame of mind. I had no motivation. I was just sort of like a empty shell of a person. It felt like it's really been a summer, you guys. It's really been tough. And so yeah, I wasn't in my best frame of mind. I could have planned better. I could have done better, but I didn't. And I had things like chocolate, had a bit of chips, had a bit of wine and beer, and I feel so poofy, swollen, inflamed, like kind of disgusting still. I got back yesterday and, I got back the day before yesterday. So yesterday ate like perfectly and felt amazing. Today, perfectly. I'm doing better now. I'm really excited to keep eating properly, a proper human diet, and just nourish myself and feel a lot better. But yeah, sometimes it is those deviations that happen that put you back on your path in like the best possible way, because you remember, you have that physical reminder of why you eat this way, why we do what we do. We go out of our way to just eat better and nourish ourselves better. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I would love to hear what anyone who's listening does in the comments when you are feeling stressed out. How do you stay motivated? When life gets hard, how do you stay motivated? What do you do? What's your tactic? What's your mind frame? I'd love to hear about it. And thanks so much for being here.